Welcome, welcome, welcome to another 2-minute tutorial. Can you give me a check 1, 2?
Sure. 1, 2.
Okay.
Okay. I've been a therapist for over 40 years. During that time, I have amassed a great deal of knowledge for successful treatment of certain ailments, bipolar disease, and also have learned to teach from my experiences at the Jung Institute in Zurich, where I have class notes that have proven invaluable to me. I think I would like to share my knowledge, and in doing so also perhaps interpret some dreams along the way. I would like to teach you about dream interpretation and also about the attitude that underlies any successful attempts to cure yourself or anyone else.
And who was the instructor again?
Maria Louisa von Franz, brilliant. She was Jung's shining light teacher. She was, Austrian, uptight. She never made a good therapist, but a wonderful teacher, and wrote many books. And I was crazy about her. She wasn't crazy about me. She'd always say, I would always get all excited whenever I had a learning session with her, and she'd say, Alexandra, you're too much. And I'd say, for a Swiss, I'm too much. For a Russian Jew, I'm just right. And she would laugh.
And what was covered in these sessions? You said the shadows?
Mm-hmm.
The shadow.
Yeah, the shadow, like I would have to pare down. I can't do it now. I would have to pare down what I was going to say, because the shadow really is the whole unconscious. Okay? There's the collective unconscious, there's the personal unconscious. The shadow means anything that's unconscious. But the personal shadow is something that your ego is blocking because you don't want to be aware of that quality that you have, or how you have responsibility for it. So what you do is usually project it out on somebody else. So like, oh, this person is so tight they never pick up the check, okay? Well, even though you picked up the check, maybe you didn't want to. Maybe you only did it because people were looking. So your shadow would be the too tight person. And you didn't want to know that about yourself.
The shadow will be the uptight person?
Yeah. Your shadow. Because, see, you're picking up the check anyway. But really, you have a shadow part of you that's just as that's just as tight as the guy who wouldn't pick up the check. But you didn't want to be that way, or you didn't want to admit to that. So you're always extravagantly picking up the check. Because you don't want to admit that you really don't want to do that. And that you are really looking to see who would give back to you, or what other people are worth, okay? And you're not too happy about it, but you want to appear to be generous. So that's an illustration of the shadow.
Gotcha.
Somebody who's very straight about sex, okay, and, always faithful to the wife, and man-woman only marriage, and, in the shadow he has a fear he's gay. Okay, so it comes out like, oh God, I don't want to go near them. He looks like a what do you call it? Faggot.
Homosexual.
Yeah, but he says it in a bad way, like a faggot. Okay? And people who are really hostile toward homosexuals, okay? Really hostile toward them and mean toward them.
Or they themselves are.
Drag queens, probably, unconsciously. So that's what the shadow is.
The shadow is the two personalities clashing against each other.
Well, the ego, okay, your consciousness, has a permeable membrane, and you usually block shadow or unconsciousness from your ego. That's why we interpret dreams, because the shadow gets through via dreams and things like that. Like
during the unconscious state.
Yeah. So you can see when a person is hyper about something, and goes out of their way to make an issue about it and this and that, you think they're unconscious drag queens. Okay? It's stuff like that. Or this one, oh, she slept around, I mean, she's no good, she slept around. Well, maybe nobody wanted to sleep with her. Or maybe, she had a deep-seated desire
to be slept with.
You betcha. So the shadow is a very interesting concept. And I rather enjoy it. We used to play a game, okay? Did you ever go into a restaurant and look at somebody and they kind of pissed you off? There was something about them you just didn't like. So we used to play I Hate You. Because what was it about that person that you really didn't like? Like, were they loud, or were they snobby, or were they this, or were they that? And that's a piece of shadow. So we would play that game to see what kind of shadow we had.
So it's a projection.
It's a projection, but it's different from just projecting hostility or things like that, because it isn't yet conscious. So it's a different kind of projection. Okay? It's not yet in the ego. Okay? But it is a projection.
They're not aware or conscious that they're projecting it in a negative form.
Yeah, they don't want to know about it. And the more they don't want to know about it, the more, they dismiss other people.
Using that as
a way to stay unconscious. Okay? Using that as a way of cementing their defenses. I'll be right back. Oh, God. The reason that Jung suggested drawing your dreams or having active imaginations, because it was a way to take the material just out of your head and let you relate to it outside of yourself. So it wasn't just going around in circles in your head. In that way, you could have a conscious relationship to the unconscious material.